He's my engineer for the 100 product, as well as our CRM product. So he has a wealth of knowledge in the 100 product, over 25 years experience in it, both as an end user and as an engineer for us. So he's very helpful and instrumental to my success, in doing these presentations for me. There's a lot that he knows about the product and so much that he's seen out there in the marketplace. There's not too much that he's missed over the years. So I'll record this session for the both of you. So feel free, this is your demo. Ask questions at any point. If you need John to repeat something that you've seen, just speak up and let him know. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I put together a brief slide, kind of what we'll go through today. And I did speak with John and kind of let him know, the package that you're looking to purchase and how you'll use the program. So we'll kind of do a brief overview of 100 and kind of show you what it looks like to navigate around it. Then kind of touch on the modules like AP and AR, the customer setup and customer maintenance, purchase orders, recurring invoices, and kind of go through some of the reports that are available. Does that sound like a decent agenda?
Sounds great.
Okay. And John, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right.
Stop sharing. There you go.
Do you see Sage 100?
Yes.
All right. And can you guys, I just want to confirm, you should be seeing Information Center a little towards the top, but in the center of the screen.
Confirmed.
You got it? All right. Now, what I will start with, again, we have the agenda. So the first item was the overview and navigation. So that is what I'm going to start with. So what you'll notice on the left is the list of modules. I have all the modules installed, and even incorporating, for distribution businesses and manufacturing businesses. You would only see the list of modules that you have specifically purchased and have been installed for you. Another thing I'll point out is security will actually act as a filter for a user. A user will only see the modules, the menus, and tasks that they have been granted permission to access. So security will actually be another level of filtering to what a user sees. They'll only see what they have access to. Now, the way the modules are set up, let me kind of go through and kind of show you. For example, I'll start with AR as an example. So you get what we call the module menus, main, reports, period, and setup. Now, this set of menus exists everywhere else. So you're going to see these same menus in GL and AP. Now, one difference you'll see is AP is going to have additional menus related to check printing, electronic payment. So if I hop over there, again, you'll see that same list, but with those additions. Functionality that's needed in AP but not needed in AR. So that's why we have a unique menu there. Now, another thing I'll point out, if I go to GL, another unique folder here is budgets. So I can create budgets and associate them with GL accounts. Again, only needed really in the GL module. Now, getting around the system as far as what you need to do, reports are pretty straightforward. That's where you'll find all your standard canned reports. I will point out that these are standard reports. If you need a variation or to customize those to present information in a different way with different fields, different sorting, different groupings, etc., those can always be customized to your needs. And you'll have a custom reports menu as soon as you create a custom version of the report, and you would access those customized reports through that custom reports menu. Now, if I go up to main is always going to have specific tasks regardless of the module. That's where I'll find maintenance, inquiry, and data entry activities. So if you work across multiple modules, you won't have to guess where to go to do data entry. That's always going to be under main. Likewise, maintenance and inquiry activities are going to be under the main folder. Now, when we talk about maintenance versus inquiry, maintenance typically gives a user access to create, modify, and delete those entities. So in this case, general ledger accounts. Inquiry, same information is visible, but it's always view only. All I can do is view. I can't make changes to a record, and that will apply to vendors, customers, etc. Whenever you see maintenance and inquiry, inquiry is view only. Maintenance can give you access to create, modify, and delete. Now, I'm going to drill into that a little bit. If I go to Library Master is the I call it the control module. That's where you would set up your companies. If you just have one company or more, each company that you need to track, essentially each chart of accounts, if you will, can you define multiple companies here? Security in Sage 100 is based on roles. So I would define a role such as, accounting, sales rep, controller, VP, whatever you need to as far as a job a person would perform, and then you can associate that user with that role. Now, underneath, I'll go into sysadmin. I do have some flexibility. If I go into AR as an example, and we'll go down to like customer maintenance. So typically, if I give someone access to maintenance, they can do everything, create, modify, and delete. But you can get more granular underneath that. Determine whether a user is allowed to create a new customer, modify existing ones, or delete. So you can put restrictions on the types of activities users can do when they're in a task. Any questions so far?
No, it's similar to, not visually, but similar in process to Sage 50.
Yeah, I think this is a little more granular than you get with Sage 50 here. Now, on the user, when I define the user, you will set up the user in user maintenance. So you'd have their logout, their name, password. Here's where I can say, I have the same role in all companies or a specific role per company. And this user code is going to follow that user. So if I go into the system and create a new customer, create a vendor, make changes, my user code is going to be associated with that activity. So you would actually be able to run reports to see, provided you have the settings turned on to track this information, what the value was before the change, the change value, and who made it and when. So you have those audit reports to kind of track down who made that change, so you can run a report to see, and the user code would be tied to that activity. Now, getting around some other things that we have available to get around the system, as you start to kind of hone in on the things that you're using all the time, you don't always have to navigate between the menus from GL main to AR main to AP main. You can actually flag the things that you're using all the time. So let's say that you are day in and day out, you always need access to journal entry. You can flag it as a favorite. So if I right click, you'll notice add to favorites opens up as an option, and my modules is still my focus. So if I go over and say add to favorites, it will open up my favorites menu and drop that item onto my favorites menu, and then I can move that where I want it. And then I discovered I've already made that a favorite, so I can go ahead and clean that up and delete it. So this gives you or any user the ability to flag the things they use all the time as a favorite. If I call that something different, I could rename that. I can organize the favorites menu by inserting either folders or these little lines that we call separators. So you have the power to kind of create your own menu for the things that you use all the time. So you can kind of see I've grouped AR customer things together, vendor things, and GL accounts kind of in little groupings with the separators and reports and folders. Now, once you have your favorites kind of defined at the bottom, notice at the top there's a favorites tab. So those things that you use all the time can be setting at the top waiting for the next time you need it. So if it's a report, you just click the drop-down box and those reports will be showed. And it doesn't have to be a report. I can put anything in a folder. But if you prefer the folder organization, you can put everything in a folder and use the drop-down to access it. But it just gives you, that quick and easy way to, if you need to get into GL account maintenance, click the button and it's going to open for you. You don't have to navigate from GL main, or if you're in AR, you don't have to get out of AR and go there. You just go at the top and open that task you need now. And that is per user. Now, another thing talking about per user, I'm going to go up to the view menu. The scaling here, notice if I go to default, notice the font, the menu font's got a little smaller. That would also be reflected in any window that I open, maintenance, inquiry, data entry screens, just to kind of show you, medium gets a little bit bigger, large, a lot bigger. And if I had a larger resolution device, I could even go to extra large. So again, this is something that I don't have to be an admin. Maybe I forgot my glasses in the car, can't really read. I can go to the scaling and increase the scaling so I get a bigger text, menus, screens, etc. So it's just a little easier to work with. And again, that doesn't affect anyone else. That's specific to me. Other things I can do here is the module sorting is not alphabetical. If you prefer it alphabetical, it's just a checkbox here. The menus and then even the task underneath the menus can be sorted alphabetically. And again, user preference, my preference is them to not be sorted that way. And there's even some things that I can do to kind of change the different color combinations. So maybe again, just staring at a specific color combination is easier on your eyes. So you can actually do that again without any admin, having to come to change things for you. Any questions so far?
Nope.
All right. Now, one more tool that I want to show you that you can use to get around the system is a tool we call Visual Process Flows. So you notice here, it's not really module specific, it's more based on functionality. So we have customer billing, invoice and receipt payment, purchases, PO entry and receipts, and then vendor payments is really AP invoice and process payment. So what these represent is, I'll open up the AP one here. This represents a visual menu. So getting away from kind of this folder driven menu that you see on the left into a visual map of the process. So AP invoice data entry, processing invoices for payment, posting those payments, vendor maintenance, inquiries, and reports. And this is not just a help screen to show you the order in which things should occur. The text and the buttons are actually linked to the actual task. So if I need to do vendor maintenance, I can click either the button or the task, and it opens that screen. So again, this provides you the ability to show your users, not just say pointing to a folder, here's where you go to access things. This shows the order in which things should occur or typically occur. Now, another thing I'll point out is we provide, if I go back to Visual Process Flows, you have all these different templates to do different things. So AR, AP, purchase orders. These are out-of-the-box templates. Your process may be different. You may not need everything on a screen. You may find it convenient to have, if we could just have something, one more option or a couple more options, it would be a lot more easier to get my job done. These can be customized to add or remove buttons, even create links to web pages if you need to. So just to kind of show you, if I go through Setup, Visual Process Flows Manager, it's not programming. I just say create a custom process flow. Next, I'm just going to say, give it a name and a description, and then what menu I want this to be associated with. And then I'll just go through and say, this is the closest one. I want to use the AP template as my starting point. Which security roles will have access to this? I'm just going to give it access to everyone. And then what I can do is it's going to open up the template with some tools. So again, it's very simple. There's you can get really fancy. You'll notice here you can import pictures for backgrounds, company logos. There are different themes. So if you don't like this button set, you can come in and see that there are different button sets and different kind of things available to utilize if you don't particularly like this color codes or the icon set. But the key thing here is, like, if I want to add functionality, I can take an existing button, say copy, paste, here's that new button. And then the critical thing here is to kind of tell that button what to do. I use this link button. So I go to link, click this button, and now I can access. So let's say maybe purchase order inquiry is something that the AP clerk needs access to. I can go to purchase order, choose my menu, and then say purchase order inquiry. So now I have a new button that will launch purchase order inquiry. And I could do the same thing. I could copy text, change the text, and link the text to open the button. So this is definitely something that you don't have to learn how to program. It's going to really, again, takes a little more proficiency on learning where, to import backgrounds or different things of that nature. But the key thing as far as adding a new button is really copy, paste, link, those 3 steps, and you'll be up and running. Any questions there?
No. I mean, you don't have to use that though, right?
No.
You can use trees on the left if you want.
You can use, and what's nice is you can use any combination. So you can use the modules, the menus, favorites
Yeah.
and these. You can use, we don't force you. If you enable this, it doesn't turn off anything else. So you can use any combination of getting around the system that you want to use. So we don't force you to use one or the other. Enabling one doesn't turn off the other. So you can use all those methods to get around the system. Other questions?
No.
All right. Now, there are some things.
I will make a comment. That's one thing that kind of makes it difficult to train your people when there's so many different options.
Well, keep in mind again that they will only see what you have given them permission to access. So this big long list of things, a user who doesn't have, I have sysadmin access. I have permissions to everything. If I went in and turned off, access, I would, like if I turned off my access to GLAR AP, I wouldn't even see the module on my menu. I would only see the modules that I have permission to. So your general user is not going to see a big list of stuff like you see on my screen. I have sysadmin privileges to give me access to every task because in my demos, I need to be able to show you everything.
Yeah, I'm just referring to, and no disrespect, I've used Sage 50 for 15 years. I love it, but it's just, you can go to the top or when you're talking to somebody on the phone and they're comfortable with using the modules on the left in a tree, but I like using them going to the top. It's a bit challenging, you know what I mean? Because I'm sysadmin as well, and I see a bunch of stuff that my other lady don't see, but I'll have to remind myself how she's comfortable using it. It might not be the same way that I use it,
Yeah, exactly.
Cindy, keep in mind too that the training is a part of the implementation project. So, as your projects or your solutions being implemented, there's training that's going to happen, all throughout your project. So before you go live, everybody's going to have a very good comfort level on how to get around and navigate and do all the tasks that you need to do.
Yeah.
Now I want to show you, there's a module, Paperless Office, but I want to start by showing you how Paperless Office works with AR, with customers. So let me ask you now, are you emailing invoices and statements to your customers?
We use the batch process for the majority. So yeah, we email everything, and we have a handful of people that don't want it emailed; they want it mailed, which is crazy.
Okay.
We have a handful.
So,
but yeah, to answer your question, we do. The challenging part comes in. I like the batch process, but you can't, unless I'm doing it wrong, you can't batch and add an attachment. So for the lots of customers, probably 50% or more, they want us to give them an attachment of their users, their active users, because the way we're structured as a company, we bill most of our customers by a number of active users that are using their, our service. Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, we have to attach an Excel spreadsheet, and I haven't found a way to do that and still batch invoices because it won't include an attachment.
If that information is associated with their account, that might be something we can customize the statement or invoice form to include the active users on the invoice. Otherwise, we could create that report because the data is going to be in the system, and then be able to, we can attach things. So let me kind of show you by default. So notice I'm in a customer record. What I can do is come down here to paperless. So this allows me to specify how a customer wants to receive things. So for those exceptions that still want it paper, what you can do is say, for their statement, they want a hard copy only. So you print it, put it in an envelope, and mail it. Those right. Customers that want an email, you uncheck print, go to the email tab, and you can say, Artie's my primary contact associated with this customer. John's the secondary contacts. If I have additional contacts that need copied, I can add them. Now down here, if you want to send yourself a copy, so when you send anything to a customer, if you want to BCC yourself, or CC yourself. You can, you can make yourself a BCC on anything you're sending to a customer. So paperless comes bundled with Sage 100, and this is how it's kind of exposed to the customer, where you can define this customer wants their statements emailed, and here's the list of contacts to email that to. Now, let's say if I go here, if you still send them individual invoices, I can do the same thing for the invoice. So this is customer by customer and document by document. So maybe at a customer, every document goes to the same set of contacts. Maybe you have a larger company where you have different contacts that they need to be routed to. So whether it's the same people for every document or different people, we allow you to define that. So, customer by customer and document by document, whether it needs to be printed or emailed, or even fax, if you have anyone that sends fax, and then that specific list of contacts who should receive that email if it is an email document. So questions there?
Yeah, I'm not real sure I understand that. I'm based on how we're doing it now. Still, but this is not generating the actual invoice right now. You're just setting it up.
Yes. So this is just saying when I send an invoice, this is who should get a copy of that invoice.
Okay, so right now, in my sorry to interrupt you, but right now in Sage 50, if you have, you're very limited. You're not very limited, but you're limited in the space, the character spacing of who gets the invoice if it's more than one person. Automatically, and what I mean by automatically is when I hit that button to send an invoice, if I've got 2 or 3 recipients in there, I have to separate them by a semicolon. So I guess I'm visualizing that's not going to be a problem anymore, because the emails are going to be in a total separate character field. They're not going to all be combined together and separated with a semicolon. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. There are some limitations right now within that area,
Yeah, so I can have multiple. So again, right now I'm sending it to 2 contacts, but I can do 3 or 4 and then internal contacts. And again, whether they see it, CC, BCC. So again, this would be typically the customer contacts. This could be again internally. If the sales rep assigned to the account should get a copy, or accounting needs it. So that's internally you can add yourself, or maybe they want a Gmail copied.
So when I go to actually send that, I don't have to do anything else. I just hit the send, and it sees all those people in there, and it's going to send a copy to all the people that are in there. Okay.
So in this case, I'm just defining who should get a copy of what type of document. When you go to the key thing is when I go to, let's say, for example, period end statement printing. So the key thing in how to send it right now, it's defaulting just to print all the statements. So let's say I have 25 customers in the statement batch. Some of them want hard copies. Some of them want emails. What I can do is change this from print to this option. So what it's going to do now is look at every customer in the batch, see how they're set up. If a hard copy is required, it will print a hard copy. If an email is required, it will create an email with the PDF attached. And that PDF option is also going to create a PDF for you and save it automatically. So in this case, all I need to do is come down here and hit print, and it will do everything automatically. So you can kind of see I don't have a printer attached to my system here, so it gave me that error. But notice it's automatically it's going to automatically create the emails and attach the document and send the emails out. And then what I'll get is a list of how many emails were attempted and how many were successful. So it's automatically doing that in the background for me. So you don't even have to worry about the semicolon and who's there. It generates the email and attaches it automatically for you.
Okay.
Now, at the same time, I mentioned the PDF. So let me go back to the customer record. When that invoice or statement is generated, let me kind of show you. If I go back to a customer, if let's say it's a week later and the customer calls and says, hey, can I get a copy of, whether it's an invoice or a statement, if you go to the invoices tab, so here's like the open invoices, but this button, notice it says paperless viewer. So that PDF option is I'm creating a PDF copy. So this is all of their, I'll say, archive. So when I sent them by email, it attached the PDF for them, but the PDF option that I selected created a PDF for me. So if I needed to retrieve a statement for this customer, so I can see, here's the one I just generated, I can actually pull that up. Here's the statement that I emailed them. They want another copy. So I can view it, make sure everything looks good. But all I need to do now is if they want another copy, I select that one, click this button, and it automatically says, hey, here's who you typically send the statement to. So it will retrieve the contacts that have been associated with statement printing and populate it here so I can resend them a copy. Now, I can always override this. If already saying, hey, I need a copy, but don't worry about John, I can go ahead and override the default because it's an additional copy and just remove John and just send that copy to Artie.
Got it.
So again, anytime, that's kind of like, again, the copies of, where you can go get a copy to send them if they want another copy. And again, the same thing when you I don't have invoices and invoice data entry, but the same thing would be true here in invoice printing. It's that output option. So again, if I need to print PDF and electronic delivery, so print hard copies, send emails, and save a copy, I just make sure, and it will start to save this. If this is the way you're always doing it, I can save this so it defaults to do that, all three of those things, print, hard copy, and email automatically. Now there is an option if you need to, I can set up that paperless option to be able to attach another thing to the email. So instead of automatically sending the email, I can actually have it attach something else to so it's not just the PDF from the statement, I can attach another document. So that may be something that we need to do to show them the active users.
We do that now. We'll have to be able to do that.
Yeah. So that's definitely something we can do. Now, what I'm wondering is to simplify that. Now, notice the statement itself. I can change the format of the statement by going to design. And this is something that the implementation, if that's something, would it be a problem to print the active users on the statement itself? So I'm wondering if it would just be easier, instead of having to have a separate document, if that active user is a part of the customer database, I can access, all those, I just need to make sure that that's a field available. I can then add that to the actual statement. So I don't have to attach additional documents. I could put an active user listing on the statement itself.
I don't know. Right now we're doing it, like I said, when she goes and she hits the button to send an invoice, we've got Excel spreadsheets saved, on a shared drive. And so when you send one now, you have an option to do an attachment, and she just goes out and grabs it and sends it on.
Okay.
So it sends the PDF of the invoice and the list in Excel. It sends it on to whoever, we've got set up in customer maintain to send it to. I will say, though, we have some customers that's hundreds of users. So,
okay, so it could be a lot of detail there. So, so again, it's just a matter of, in paperless, I can change my options to allow attaching additional documents. So I may have an interim step where I need to make that attachment. So that's just something that, Brian, just make note that for implementation team that they need to be aware that they need to add attachments to those documents so that they can configure the system. Yep. Okay. All right. Now there's some other things that come with the system automatically. Custom Office is a tool that if you need fields that we didn't give you a place for. So essentially, let me come in and kind of show, I believe if I go to customer maintenance here, we do our best to try to provide what most people would need for a customer record. So you can kind of see like terms, contact, ship to, tax schedule stuff. This class type is
Rob. Sorry, guys. Rob, are you still with us? Rob?
Yeah, sorry, I had myself muted.
That's all right. this is the area that I think you would be interested in regards to pulling information about our customers and, being able to flag something specific about them. This is how we're using we only have like 5 character fields right now in Sage 50, which is a pain. I wish there were more.
Right.
But I think what he's starting to talk about is going to be something you'd be interested in. Because you can typically now in the current Sage 50 run reports off of these fields. So
Okay.
anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, John.
Yes. So where we provide, like, for example, what you see on the screen, everything on this main tab is standard except this field right here. This wouldn't come out of the box with Sage 100. I created the field and added it to the customer record. So this is what we call a user-defined field. Even this tab number 9 does not exist. It's not a standard tab for Sage 100. I added the tab, and this is a custom field that I created as a date. So I can pick, basically, let's say I made a collection call, and then I have a big note field. So I can type a note about a conversation I had with Artie about past due invoices. So this represents, the main tab, a field that I created where I can pick a value from a list and assign it to a customer. And this represents a custom tab with 2 custom fields. So that's just 2 examples. But those fields, if you need to create classifications or specs for customers that are beyond what we provide a place for, what you would do is go to Custom Office. And again, this is something that you can learn how to do. If I go to User Defined in Field and Table Maintenance, so for a customer record, I would want I want the AR. So AR, here are all the tables associated with accounts receivable. Now, I've already had customers, so I'm going to come down here. AR Customer Master is the table or data file that has the information for customers. So if I need to create custom fields for them, what I can do is hit Edit, and this allows me to create custom fields. So what you see is I already have 5 UDFs, and that is nowhere near the limit. And you'll notice I even have different types. So if I need to create a custom field, and I'm going to say hosting again as my field. And now I can say, do I need to add a text box so I can type, just freeform type into a text box? And then I can define how many characters, if I need a big long text field of, 375 characters, I can have a big long text field that would support up to 375 characters. And then essentially for the next step is, so I'm creating a text box that I can type into, but I could also create a drop-down box, which means that I can create a list with so instead of having someone type into a box, hope they pick a valid value, I'm going to give them a list of values to pick from. So everything will be consistent. It will be an approved value, and it will be spelled consistently across all the customers that it's been associated with. So those are just, again, different options. So I'm going to just go ahead and say hosting here, say OK, and then I'm going to say OK. So now what you're going to see is, let me just make sure I have customer maintenance closed. The system is adding that new field to the tables. It's becoming a part of the database. So I can add that to the screen. So I can type, that note regarding hosting or the text that I need to type into regarding hosting for that customer record. And I can add it to reports. So if that's something that needs to be on reports or forms or invoices, it's available and can be added. So this tool enables you, a lot of cases, I see people use every field that they can, and then like where you have created a spreadsheet for the users, I could create a custom table for users and then associate that with customers. So I could have a customer user table created from scratch as well as custom fields. Now that field that I just created has been added. So let me go to a customer record. So I'm going to have to go to this collections tab because I'm going to need room to do this. So if I have permissions, I have the ability to go to this tool called Custom Office. So that field that I just created, where I have collections notes here, so what I can do is come here. You'll notice this says add field. What I'm going to do is drop this here, and then it's going to ask me what field do I want to add. So the field that I just created, I can now add to a screen. So it's going to show me. So I don't have to learn how to program. I do have to learn how to use this tool, but this would enable you to say if you need a custom field where you can, again, whether it's a typing a box, I'm going to just preview. So if this is fine, if this, I like the way this looks, I can leave it as is. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So now going forward, every time I open up customer maintenance, I am able to go to that new tab and be able to type.
That's specific to you as a user, or is that all users?
I have the ability to make it specific to me or make it available to all users. So if there's something that you need to create that only you can access and see, you could create that where you're the only one that see that. Or you, in creating it, you have the ability, essentially, you have the ability to say what users have access to it when you define the field.
Yeah.
Now, custom office, again, there's other things I can do. I could hide fields. So if there's fields that need to be hidden from certain people, I can use that same tool to actually make fields hidden to certain users as well. So that, again, this was an example where, again, I have a custom tab with custom fields. I have a custom field on the main tab where I just, put it where I had some room on this main tab. This tool, if you find that I need a place for this, I need a place to put this type of data to associate with customers, with vendors, with GL accounts. So this tool is not limited to customers. I can do the same thing for GL. I can do the same thing for AP, for vendors. I can do the same thing at the, let's say, the invoices, AP invoices, AR invoices. I can create custom fields and have them be a part of the data entry or appear on the invoices and statements. Questions?
No.
All right. Now, let me go ahead and go through. Let me ask you real quick, as far as on general ledger, your chart of accounts, is your chart of accounts capturing all the data that you need? Do you want to bring your chart of accounts over as it is now? Or would this be a good opportunity to change the structure to get more detail to account for, cost centers, divisions, or anything of that nature?
A little of both.
Okay. Let me kind of show.
Actually, we've got some in there that, are inactive. We, of course, wouldn't want to carry over, but we have just recently combined most of our sales GLs because our CFO doesn't want to confuse our owner partners with, all these sales questions, why did that one do this and why did that one do that? He wants it just cleaner. So what would really be nice, I've seen in systems before, is the ability to have an upper GL and then have sub GLs under it, where, you can run an income statement and it only pulls the upper GL, but you can granularly run other reports, or you can say, hey, I don't want it just, pulling this main GL anymore. I want this $1 million actually on a report, how it, with the sub GLs, with the totals in the sub GLs.
Okay,
that's what would be helpful in my mind, but.
We're going to have a tool that will allow you to kind of have that flexibility for reporting. Now, I'm going to show you what I have open right now is how my demo data. You don't have to have this structure. This is how my demo structure is set up. Sage 100 is flexible. You can have one segment. I have 3 in my demo data. You can have up to 10 segments with 32 characters. I have heard no one jumps up and down and says they're going to do that. but it's flexible enough. It's flexible enough to do that. So in my demo data, I have my main or natural account represented by the first segment, and then it's broken out into two further segments where the second segment represents department and the third represents location. What I typically see is one or two segments, maybe three. That's the typical what most people use. You know, some people have more complex, but in general, it's either 1, 2, or 3. I think the vast majority of users are in 1, 2, or 3 segments. Now, what's nice is during the implementation process, you will be able to kind of review the GL accounts and purge anything that's obsolete. So anything that's not in use anymore, you don't even have to bring it over. You'll have the opportunity to purge out any obsolete accounts, as well as vendors or customers in the implementation process. So this is just to kind of show you the flexibility. If at any point, if you bring over, let's say, 1 or 2 segments, and then you find that you need to add a segment later, there are utilities that would allow you to actually change the structure and add more segments later down the road. So you can always do that and add complexity later. I'll go up to account maintenance here to kind of show you how. Now, if you know the account, you can type what that account into the system. So, or even, let's say I know it starts with 115, I can hit essentially what I know, hit the lookup or F2, and it's like a begins with filter. Show me everything that starts with 115. You can always use the lookup, and let's say maybe you know the description contains, so you can use, again, what you know, using what you know to find what you're looking for. So here's that account. Now, another thing I can do is I can also just start to type the description inside the account number field. So you notice I get the description and then the account. So lots of ways to find what you're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up. So the main tab, you get the group, the category, the type, status, start and end date, cash flow type if applicable. Roll-up codes are optional. So if you need to use roll-up codes, those can be implemented and used in the system. History is going to show me, by year and period, my beginning balance, debits and credits, ending balance. This little button gives you the net change instead of the individual debits and credits. You can toggle that on or off. Variance is going to show me, in this case, this account has a budget, so I have original or budget or revised budget that I can compare the activity to and get variance details. If there wasn't a budget for the GL account, maybe I want to compare prior year activity to this current year activity to get variance details. Now, if you do need to associate a budget, you can go up to the budget button, build the original, revise. There's some tools here on the right to select budgets, change budgets, calculation wizards, clear and resetting cells. So if you do need to associate a budget, you can do so. And then you get transactions. So this would be the individual transactions. Now I can drill into the source journal to get more detail. And then there's even, again, depending on where it came from, this went right to the AP invoice inquiry because that was posting from, paying for travel or entertainment with my annex. Now I can also do journal reversal. I can create automatic reversals. But if there's something that gets posted that I need to reverse I need to reverse that wasn't set for reversal, this little button will automatically create a reversal for me. So I can now go into general journal entry, and there will be a reversal. Now I'm going to pull up this one. I have batches enabled for this particular function. Batches are optional for data entry. You can enable them if you want. So this was the reversal that was created automatically, and that was 17 lines of data entry that I didn't have to do myself. Now I can come in and review and make changes and go ahead and update that if I need to. I just want to kind of show you, if you need to do a general journal from scratch, you can just pick the source journal. I'll just say Bankrec here. Say next entry number. I can specify, of course, the posting date, reversing date, journal comment, and very straightforward on the lines tab. Now, if you want the account description, each user can drag and drop and put the fields where you want. So if you're comfortable with the accounts and don't need to see the description, you can have it down here out of the way. Or again, if you want to make sure you have the right one, you can do so. So I'm just going to create a dollar entry here. So it's just going to make sure everything's in balance. I'm going to just pull in my offsetting account. Now in Sage 100, I have, in this case, 2 entries. I have that reversal that was created, and I have this one that I manually created. Those have not been posted yet. They're not committed. So I'll hit the printer icon. Now, what's nice is if you have more than one person doing the same thing at the same time, notice all these different entries. So let's say that there's 4 other people that have access to general journal entry. They have been entering journal entries. I needed to come in and do my journal entry. That's associated with the batch I just created. So I'm just saying I'm only going to print and update batch 17. Everybody else can keep working. I don't have to coordinate with them. I don't have to talk to them because I'm just going to go in and update the one batch. I'm hitting proceed. I can preview that. This is my opportunity to look at that information, make sure the information is correct, the one I entered manually, the reversal. And then I'm going to say yes to update. So now if I go back to general journal entry, batch number 17 is not going to exist because I just updated it. So 17 is gone because I printed and updated it. The other people are still working. I didn't interfere with them at all. So you have that ability to enable batch entry if more than one person is doing the same type of data entry at the same time. It allows them to create a batch that they're entering into. They can print and update independently of anyone else. And that's optional. Now, on the reporting, you have reporting tools here. But one of the things that you're going to get, I think that specifically where you're talking about the ability to manipulate what the report output is, your best bet is going to be Sage Intelligence Reporting. I believe that's available in Sage 50. Do you know if you're utilizing that tool in Sage 50? It's an Excel-based report writer.
I haven't been trained on it. And it's a bit difficult for an end user to figure it out on their own, in my opinion.
So that would be one of the things
I definitely need some training.
that they would train you on. There's training available. I know Sage University has specific training available for Sage 100 intelligence reporting. What I want to go in and kind of show you is I pre-ran one ahead of time. So this is where the nice thing is because it's Excel, you have the ability to manipulate the output. So I'm going to run a balance sheet in this case. So what it's going to do now is connect to Sage 100. So instead of having to manually grab the accounts and put them into a worksheet and create that from scratch. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I need to override the year here to get to the year that I'm working with. And here's my data. So at this level, I'm looking at the category. So I don't have the individual geo accounts. So this is kind of, top level, just summarized account, asset accounts. But because it's Excel, I can explode that out into each individual account and view those details. Now, I can even, depending on how the report is set up, drill down from here, which wouldn't be available in a printed report. So again, this just kind of depends on how you set it up. Now, this report, if I wanted to exclude, again, where I have, locations and departments, maybe I don't want all that detail. Maybe I just want, again, where you said like a top line level versus the individual accounts. I can say manage, and then I can actually hit edit, and I can easily, or, I guess easily with training, be able to modify the columns, the rows, the spacers, but incorporating what geo accounts needed to be included or excluded. Reporting trees is the tool that would allow me to take those GL segments and say include or exclude specific subledger accounts from the report. So this is the tool that would give you the ability to say, give me a financial report including these reports and excluding, or including these accounts, but excluding these. So this would be the tool where you can actually kind of drill down to the GL account segment level to say include or exclude these reports or accounts, excuse me. Questions?
No. I mean, I got it. It's just like you said, it's just learning it. And,
yeah.
And I mean, I just received a 27 worksheet, an Excel workbook that has 27 worksheets in it that our owners want done every month. And it's so granular, and Sage doesn't quite meet it. It's going to be a challenge. So we're definitely going to have to find someone.
And again, one of those things, if you there are consultants out there that, again, our team might be able to do what you need as part of the implementation process, but outside of that, there are consultants out there that kind of specialize
I mean,
in
I've reached out to a consultant this week about it, working and, getting what we need for Sage 50, because this is something they want, tomorrow. And I'm like, oh my God.
There's a link that I just sent both you and Rob, Cindy, and that's our Sage Intelligence site. The link I sent you is for 100, but if you go up to the Solutions tab, you can select Sage 50, and there's some actual training and FAQs there that might help you.
Yeah, it's the time. It's the time to, have in your 10 or 12 hour day.
Yeah, I get it. I know.
Slide the training in.
Right.
Anyway. But thank you for that.
Sure.
I wanted to show you one other report. This is a report that it's not installed automatically, but it is available for free to be added. So it's kind of a dashboard view of the financials. So you can kind of get, great for, CFOs, CEOs, so they can kind of see pictures of easy to kind of see details of, the financial health of the business. And then they can go in and look at, in different areas.
And that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, one or two of the worksheets in this workbook are graphs like that. They won't, what if formulas, and it's very good. It's going to be interesting to try to get all the information out of Sage.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. So again, that reporting tool is available, and it can report not just on financials. I can report on anything in Sage 100 with this tool. But I just wanted to make sure that you knew that was available. It's probably your best bet for kind of including or excluding specific GL accounts in financial reporting. Now let's go through. I want to make sure we get into, and we're going to go back to the customer. Kind of want to make sure you understand. Let me go to customer maintenance. I'm going to pull up now. I don't know if you need this, but see that 01 and then I have 02. It's optional. It's divisions. So if you have, I don't know if you have different types of customers so that you could assign.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have the option to, it's called customer type actually. So yeah, we definitely use that option.
Okay. So that's something that you can enable, and then you can define. So again, I have that 01. So what you'll do is if I come down to setup to kind of show you, I have division maintenance, so I can specify kind of defaults for that division. So AR accounts, cash sales, so I can have that automatically associate customers, the AR account.
Just real broadly, what I'm trying to accomplish is our ability, or my ability, to sell across the company, that Sage can do what we need it to do. For Rob and his goals, which are more marketing and sales, right? Not only the AR, AP, GL, which Sage 50 does fine right now, except for some reporting, like I mentioned. And I think it's all can be done. It's just having the time to learn how to do it. But what I was hoping for is that this product was going to help us be able to have some type of customer relation, if you will. That's what Rob's looking for, more like a CRM type of output, if you will, in addition to doing all these other things that we already needed to do.
So this is what you're looking at now is the AR, the accounts receivable customer record. There is, let me kind of show you. Now, again, we have the ability. I'm going to go to, let me open up Explore here. So we have an integrated module or a Sage product called Sage CRM that I'll log into now that integrates with Sage 100. So this is more of a, instead of the, like where accounts, the customer maintenance we were just in is kind of the financial picture for accounting of the customer. I'm going to log in as a sales rep here. So I'm going to go to my sales rep. In CRM, now what's nice is I can integrate. I can link that AR customer record to a Sage CRM company record. So it's two different databases, but they're integrated. This database is designed for sales and marketing. so that I can see when did I email them, what did I email them, when did I last hear from them, when did they last talk to me. So
you say they're two different databases, but they're integrated. So help me understand. I mean, if I create one over in, I don't want to have to duplicate. You know what I mean? I don't want Rob sitting over there adding all this stuff when he has a potential sale. I'd like for it to flow down, into the finance side. Are you saying?
So that's one of the things that I can integrate. So we're looking at now a CRM company, American Business Futures. This CRM company is also an accounts receivable customer in Sage 100. When that link is created, I'm going to highlight some fields here. So notice this information here. It tells me the Sage 100 customer number. So the link exists. So this CRM company is a customer. They're a paying customer. We have a business relationship. Now, if this was somebody who has not bought from us, it can exist here as a prospect, but I don't have to have a customer record for them yet. If it's just someone I'm trying to get their business, but I haven't received a contract from them yet or a subscription for hosting, I could keep them in CRM and continue to try to get their business, but I don't have to create the customer record. In this case, they are a customer. So this is my CRM company record, but they are, you can see here, 01 ABF, they exist in accounts receivable. They are a paying customer in Sage 100. So that's where, now, if I can, let's say I can have information exchange. So for example, I have the company, I have a contact. Now, already exists as a contact in CRM. Let's say that I changed, let's say he was promoted to VP of sales. I could change his title here, hit save here, and I can have it set up so that change of title would automatically flow through an update Sage 100. Or if you got that information first and you made the change, Sage 100 can flow to CRM and update the title change here.
Is that done real time, or is it something that has to be done nightly scheduled, or how does that work?
Real time. As soon as you hit save, it exists in both places.
Okay.
Now, what's nice is, so again, if I go back up to this gives me kind of a higher level view. So I'm not looking at necessarily just accounting. I can look at, quick look is going to be recent activities. What was the last, phones, emails, what sales, and even cases. Cases in Sage CRM is a problem, issue, or complaint. So if they have some kind of problem with our service or complaint with the service, I can create a case number. And the case number gives me a place to document the nature of the problem. I can have a place to put notes about the problem. If I'm emailing them or getting emails, or they send me, a screenshot of something, I can attach that and be able to see where we're at in resolving that problem for the customer. So CRM gives me, kind of that high level view of, in this case, I'm looking at the most recent. So communications, opportunities or sales, and then cases. But notice that there's a tab for those things as well. So if I go to communications, now I'm not looking at just the 5 most recent. I see the entire history of communications. The same thing for sales and even cases. I just have cases under the drop-down box in this case. So I can see the entire history.
Yeah, this allows you, somewhere, under communications is where if you had like a deadbeat customer, or something was going on with collections and you want Rob to know it, that would be where you'd put it?
Well, even let's say, let me kind of show you, if you put the customer on credit hold, they would see that. So for example, I have access to, so if I go to inquiries, so even though I'm in CRM, I'm in Sage CRM, if I go to customer inquiry, I would be able to see if they were on credit hold, I would see credit hold, and then, they're not on credit hold, so I'm not seeing that here, but I would see, hey, this customer's on credit hold. But accounting could also put a note or, some form of information for the sales rep. This customer is on credit hold. this invoice for X amount is past due. So that would be something that could be incorporated into CRM so that they could see that detail. Now, what's nice is, even though this is the CRM company record, so let's say that I am in CRM and the customer asks me a question about their account. Even though I'm in CRM, I can still access. So if I go back to the inquiries tab, I go to customer inquiry. So let's say that, hey, I sent a check for invoice 169. This is the same customer inquiry that I would get if I launched it from Sage 100. I just accessed it from Sage CRM. So if I go to invoices, I could go to a specific invoice and verify, yeah, we got your check. It was, 100297. So I can see that accounting received the payment and applied it to the invoice. And we can also say, oh yeah, that credit memo was applied to your to the invoice balance as well. So this gives, even though I'm in CRM, if I need to access or look up information from the accounting side, I have access to it. But in the most part, this is kind of gives me the ability to see, did I email them? Did I get an email? Is there a case, sales? I can see, all those details. I can even build a dashboard to see kind of higher level details. Who are my contacts, sales, cases, kind of, at a glance view of what's happening at the customer as well. Now,
So
let me ask you this.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You mentioned marketing.
ahead.
Are you using a specific marketing, like an email marketing platform, like Constant Contact or MailChimp or anything of that for your marketing tools?
Not to
No,
my
right
knowledge.
now, no.
So there is. You'll notice I do have marketing. So you can define your overall marketing campaigns here, start and end date, have waves and wave activities. Now, why I ask about the email capabilities is because one of the things that we have direct integration with MailChimp. So if you want to utilize an email marketing tool, MailChimp is, I don't see them advertising like Constant Contact on TV all the time, but they're probably, they're pretty big too, just like Constant Contact. I just don't see commercials for them as much as Constant Contact. MailChimp has a direct integration so that you can create a MailChimp account and then link your MailChimp account to Sage CRM. So if you need to, for example, if there's a specific subgroup of customers, maybe in a specific location or a specific industry that you would like to target as potential customers, I want to make them aware that you offer services, you can define that group. And under the group, I have a specific list of people. What I would be able to do is take this group of potential customers that I want to put that marketing campaign, so I can import, basically from here, I will be able to send the contents of this group to MailChimp. I can build and execute that email campaign within MailChimp. MailChimp will give you the analytics, who opened it, who deleted it, who looked at what once they were there. So you have MailChimp to look at that, but that will actually write back to Sage 100 on that. Basically, if I go back to a customer record here, it will create a MailChimp tab. So if this customer was a target of one of those email campaigns, you would be able to see the MailChimp tab and go in and see they received it, they opened it, and they looked at X. So that when you make a call, you can refer that I saw you got our email and you looked at the, our offering for this particular service.
You can't send mass emails just yourself without using MailChimp?
You can, but it doesn't have the analytics. So if I send a mass email from here, so if I go back to groups, I can send emails from here. So new email. So I can have different templates to send emails. I can send myself a test to make sure that looks good. But it's, I can send those 217 emails, but I won't know who deleted it, it doesn't have the analytics. So I can send a mass email, but I don't get the analytics. This would also be, MailChimp would kind of keep you off of spam. So you gotta be careful about sending mass emails directly from your account because you want to end up on a spam sender list. So MailChimp can help you keep off of those type of lists. But you can definitely send mass emails if you need to, but keep in mind you don't get the analytics here. It's just, kind of a shot out of emails. Questions?
Okay.
No, not for me.
I mean, I can do that now from Sage 50, but the challenge with Sage 50 is, like I said earlier, it doesn't let you separate your emails. So Sage stops on every single customer that has more than one email contact, and it won't send the letter. So that's a huge hurdle.
Yeah, in this case, I was sending like a marketing campaign with the contents of that group. I could have the contacts from the same group or the same company in that group, but essentially it was individual emails that had been associated with the group. So the group was the control of who was getting an email versus the customer. The customers, again, can be as many emails as you want per customer for, invoices and statements. This is kind of marketing type emails versus like sending statements or invoices to customers.
Yeah, but I mean, I get that, but I'm also thinking like right now we're in the middle of a campaign to notify all of our customers that use a specific ISV that their prices are going up at a certain time. So, I'm just curious where you would do that in either model. Can you do it in CRM? Can you do it in Sage 100?
I think either one would be able to do that. There's also another tool, kind of one by one on the other side. CRM would probably be your best bet, because what you can do is, again, I can have, an ISV listing. So I could have the ISV associated with the customer record, define a group based on customers associated with that ISV, and be able to send that mass email out to contents of that group, and the group being controlled by who has that ISV, and then build that template out, send those emails out to notify them of the price increase. And if you have that business relationship with them, I believe you're allowed to email them. They can't opt out because you have the business relationship with them.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess my only other thought with this is too for sales sake. When we have customers that want to add an ISV or want to add a service, do you do it? You start it in CRM, I guess, and then where does the addendum or the contract come from, and then where does it flow to? How does it talk back to 100 when Rob says, Cindy, here's the quote? Right now, it's like Cindy gets a PDF of a quote, and I have to go into Sage and manually, find the customer, find their invoice, what invoice does it increase on, and that kind of thing.
So in this case, CRM has what we call opportunities, and opportunities in CRM are sales. So you could create an opportunity for a customer adding additional ISVs to their service. And then you have a place where you can have notes. You can have your emails back and forth. And if you sent them, a price increase or the price listing, and they sent it back and approved it, you can attach those here. You can attach documents to that sale. Now, in the opportunity, quotes and sales orders here are for, in this case, it's linked to the sales order module. So if I said new order or new quote here, I would need the sales order module, which I don't think you would need per se, but maybe you do. But this would be, CRM is linked to the sales order module. Now, not to say that another thing we could do is perhaps you could create an Excel spreadsheet, and that Excel spreadsheet has all the ISVs. And for a new order, you could use the spreadsheet to say, these are the ISVs that they're adding, or maybe it's a new account, and these are the ISVs that we need to create that new account with, and charge them based on that. Or if it's an upgrade, they're adding ISVs to an existing account, again, select the added ISVs. And then I could create, instead of having to take that spreadsheet and manually key that into the system, I could import that into Sage 100 from the spreadsheet. So there's different ways to kind of approach that particular situation.
Okay.
But this was, CRM is more of a tool for, like sales and marketing. It's outside of the accounting system, but can be linked.
Yeah, I got that. I mean, not to be disrespectful, I got that, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge for us to find a product that's going to work cohesively together. And that's what I'm looking for. There's a lot of CRM products out there, you know, and Rob's looked at a lot of them, and I'm convinced there's got to be a way to give us what we need in one product. I just, that's what I'm looking for. To where we're not duplicating effort all the time, and we're not manually creating processes. So anyway, not to get off task. I'm sure Sage 100 will do what all we need it to do from the accounting for the overall, run your business. What I need to see is, this is what I'm doing in 50. How do I do it in 100? And please tell me it's easier. I think that's a sidebar I might need to have with Brian or somebody. I don't know. Because there's hurdles, like I mentioned, being able to send a customer an invoice in a batch that has an attachment to it. Is that going to be an opportunity or not? Because that's a big deal for us at our specific company. If we have to do it one invoice at a time like we're doing it now, hey, so be it. We're already doing it now. But it would be nice to be able to do it in a newer module, or an upgraded module. Those are the kinds of things I'm hoping to see or get answers on. So I can go back to the CFO, CEO, and say, yeah, we need to do this, or we're gonna have the same setbacks or time consumption manual processes that we have already.
So again, with paperless, I can send, whether it's one at a time invoicing, or I have created an invoice batch with 30 customers. I can hit print and do all those emails at once for all the customers or however many contacts are associated with each customer. So maybe it's, just 30 for each customer. Maybe there's 3 contacts per customer, maybe up to 90 contacts. So I can do that, just by hitting print with the option to electronic delivery. I'm going to generate all the emails necessary. Now I can set it up paperless so that I can add additional. Yeah.
I thought we showed that earlier on.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen that.
Okay.
And then I have the option to enable the ability to attach additional things. I just have to come in. I would have to come into Paperless Office and say, I need to create attachments to those, so it would give me an opportunity to add an attachment instead of just generating the email with just a statement. So if I need to attach those other things, I would have the ability to add that spreadsheet with their users attached to it.
Yeah, I got it. I think it's still very similar to what we're doing now, right? When I do one invoice at a time, if I've got to attach something to it that's specific to that customer's invoice.
Yeah. And if, like I said, I was in the batch processing, but if I'm in invoice data entry, I can do what they call a quick print, which is to print for that one, and then I can make that one attachment for that one invoice, and then I can do all those, the batch invoices that don't have any attachments needed. I can just send them all.
Yeah. That's what we're doing now. So okay, got it.
All right. Okay. So any other questions on, again, CRM it's a full featured CRM. Sage 100 comes with, it is a SQL database. It does require, I believe you want to be on SQL anyway. Was that one of the requirements I saw that you're looking for premium?
Yeah.
Okay. So CRM, one of the things that people normally need to buy SQL on top, but you want the SQL version anyway. So it's a SQL database product, CRM. So you would get, when you buy Sage 100, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, you get one CRM server and one CRM user license automatically. You would just need your SQL cow to access the data.
That's correct. But then, Rob, we talked about CRM early on in one of our discussions, and you kind of had put that on the back burner, so I didn't include that or didn't have it included in the implementation quote.
Right. Yeah. We can revisit that. I need to talk with our CEO and investors again, but
Sure.
for now, it's okay the way it is right now, I think.
Okay. It's something you can add post-purchase or pre-purchase. You just let me know how you want to see it.
Okay.
All right,
Anything
so
else you need to see?
Not without getting too granular for this phone call.
Well, that's what it's for.
Yeah, I just, I think I brought up the things that we're going to need. I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, they want, monthly recurring revenue for every customer every month for the last 2 years. They want all that spit out on one workbook, and how many visits are associated with each invoice, and I'm not visits, but users. I still think those are probably things we would have to seek an outside vendor for to pull that data, in the format that our, owners are looking for.
I don't think there's going to be a problem in creating the fields within Sage 100 to have that be a part of the database.
Right.
It would just probably be creating the report in the format that your management teams want that presented in, maybe where you need that consultant to create the report.
Yeah, the way it looks in Excel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good news.
Yeah, just keep in mind whatever's not out of the box in terms of information that you want to see specific to a customer, as John was showing earlier on, with user-defined fields, you can add those fields and begin to, populate that data that otherwise you may not used to have. And now that field's there, it's reportable.
I guess, does it still pull what's called like item codes to your invoice for the line item invoicing?
So for line item, for just AR invoicing, what you would do is I can go to common information, and we have what we call miscellaneous item maintenance. So this is where you can define the billable items. So whether it is, like a maintenance billing fee. Yeah. So this would be your, so I can define these. So the main thing here is allow use in accounts receivable. So when I go to AR invoice data entry, those items defined there that said are allowed in AR, when I go to lines, these would be where I can see, here's that one we were just looking at, whether it's a miscellaneous item or miscellaneous charge. And then I can, modify the quantity and the price. And this, again,
I think one of the things that makes our CIO likes about it being in SQL is we have engineers that know how to, write report, or I guess script.
SQL views, yeah.
Yeah, and it can go out and pull certain tables of SQL and create these things that we might need for the owners in some manner. So I think that's why he's wanting to move towards a SQL database.
Yep.
Okay, well, this has been a good overview and a lot of good information. So I appreciate that.
And I do want to point, now notice again, if it's like a regular monthly billing, I can create the, what we call repetitive. So again, if you bill them, on a regular basis, you can define a repetitive invoice, a cycle code to bill them on, and then it'll keep track of, the last time it was billed, how many times it's been billed, what the default billing item would be. And then what you can do is come in to, when you need to create the invoices for those repetitive invoice selection, you're able to come in and, I don't know what I have open here. I have invoice data entry open. So, I can basically create all the repetitive invoices based on a specific, billing cycle. So whether that's monthly or you can,
That's what we do
so,
now, which is
yeah.
nice to be able to do that now. So yeah.
So I can do one-offs or kind of create repetitive invoices and pull those repetitive invoices automatically into create invoices based on billing cycles.
I mean, we recur everything because that's what helps our boss do his forecasting. So are you saying that, I mean, is that an option in here?
No, yeah.
Like when I set up a customer, and I start his monthly recur invoice, I just recur it indefinitely. That way,
Yeah. Yeah, so when you need to generate the invoice, so you create those things that are billed, every month, recurring every month.
Yeah.
You define it as a repetitive invoice, and then you use repetitive invoice selection that will take and create the invoices for me automatically. So instead of having to go in and so this was created, so all these different invoices were created for me automatically by running invoice.
I guess, do you care to show me real quick just what's comparable to looking at a customer's account as far as here's their invoices, here's their payable payments, here's their quotes. Is it got a view like that, similar to Sage 50?
So I don't have like a graphical, like a dashboard view of that. So just kind of statistics is kind of, their balance, their aging, average days to pay, overdue, last payment, highest balance. Summary kind of gives me sales, cost of sales, proper percent, period to date, year to date, prior year. I can look at any period or year in history. History is going to take a year, break it out by period, and then I can do year-over-year comparisons. Are they selling more or less? Open invoices. Now, once the invoice is paid for X amount of time, it can be moved to history. So I can go to here to get older historical invoices. Transactions will be all transactions. Payments, it's, so I can sort these columns by type. So we'll get payments, etc. Sales orders is the sales order module. So unless you have sales order, this wouldn't be populated, and this is a custom tab. Now I can maintain contacts, ship to addresses. These are the
so if a
historical
customer
invoices.
wants a quote on something, you can't do it without the sales order module in here. You can't do a quote on just adding something like like for us, customer wants to add Adobe, Acrobat Adobe, and I do a quote, and I email it to the customer. Can you not do that in here without sales order?
We have quote. Quote is a function of the sales order module. AR by itself doesn't have a quote functionality.
Why?
Brian, I don't know if you're familiar with how quoting works with AR in 50. I don't know if you can.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it works real well. You do a quote and you convert it to an invoice.
Yeah.
It works real well.
Yeah. Because we have the sales order, so in more for distribution kind of model where I can come in and say, instead of an order, I can say quote, and then that can be converted to a sales order and then invoiced.
Okay.
And then I can have, again, those same, if I don't use items, I can still, those items that we saw, I can use those type of items here instead of inventory items. And then I could convert this quote to an order and then invoice it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then we were going to use the ability to do a quote.
Now, if I could create a quote form in an Excel spreadsheet, I could, if that quote is approved, instead of having to key in the invoice, I could import. We have a tool called Visual Integrator, which would allow me to import from a spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet. I could import instead of having to key it every time. So I could use here's your quote in a spreadsheet. If they approve and accept it, I could then import the invoice into invoice data entry versus having to manually key it. So there would be some, a little bit of, not having to rekey it again.
Okay. I guess my last question is going to be, do you have any customers that largely use a corporate credit card and need to be able to dump the statement into Sage 100? Have you heard of that? And does that work pretty easily? What I mean by is I have an AMX, right, account. I have 12 employees that have, transact to the tune of $50,000 or so a month. Line, tons of lines. So I need to export that, into CSV or Excel and be able to upload it into payables in a nice way without having to do a whole lot of manipulation.
So what you would do is, Amex gives you the ability to download a CSV file for the statement. So what you would do is, so I could do APINB here. So I can build what we call an import job. So what I would do here is I'm importing, so I'm pointing to the file type, and then here's where I tell Sage 100, this is where you find, for example, the GL account. This is where you find the expense amount. So and this is just kind of pointing Sage 100 to the data in the file provided by Amex. So I do this one time, the mapping process, where I basically say, Sage 100, here is information coming from this CSV file. In the CSV file, you're going to find the invoice number in this position. You're going to find the GL account in this position. You're going to find, the amount in this position. Once this is done, I can then import from that file into AP invoice data entry. I can even schedule that job to run automatically. If that file gets put in a certain place automatically at a certain time, I can schedule the job to run automatically after that file is supposed to be updated and put into that particular location. Now, I can always come in and run that as I need to as well. So if you just want to manually run the job when you have the information, you can always run that. But I don't have to recreate the mapping every time, as long as Amex is providing the information in the same format. But again, the information in the columns doesn't move around. It's always in the same format. That job can be used over and over and over again. And like I said, even scheduled to run automatically.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Yeah. And this tool can be used, if I can type it, I can import it. So for example, if your payroll is outsourced and you get a file from your payroll service provider, right, I can do the same thing to create the GL entries for payroll. I can map to that file and import the GL transactions from the payroll run instead of having to manually key that. Yeah, this is so also
the key is having the right GL in the right location before you dump it, right?
Correct. Now, another thing I'll point out is this tool is one of the key things that's used in the implementation process. So, for example, information in Sage 50 is going to be exported from Sage 50. Your chart of accounts, your vendors, your customers, open invoices, whether it's receivables or payables. That information you're going to get templates to put that information into, so you can review, purge obsolete GL accounts, vendors, customers, right, and then that's going to be imported into Sage 100 versus having to key that in all manually.
Yeah, I've used that before with when we acquire new companies and they have like QuickBooks and stuff. You can do that in Sage 50, so it's nice to be able to do that.
Okay. Yeah. So again, Visual Integrator is highly used. Again, particularly with outsourced payroll, the GL entries associated with that, importing payables, it's kind of across the board. If I can type it, I can import it. So if you have a source of data that's in a file, I map to that file and I can import it versus having to have someone key it.
All right. Awesome.
All right.
I guess I'm good
Other
for
questions?
now. I guess one thing on this quote didn't look through the master service agreement real well. I'm thinking that's probably just the legal stuff.
It is, yeah.
So,
The statement of work, the only thing it doesn't include is the CRM piece.
right. So that we're going from about 1,500 annually to 5,688 if we stayed with 6 users. Is that right?
Correct.
Cindy, we also need to look at the fixed assets for you to see if that's something you want to utilize.
Yeah, that's integrated as well. But that's a module. I don't sell it personally, but you can add it.
Right. Yeah, that Dwight or whatever, I don't remember his name. He did reach out.
He did. Okay, good.
And it's another
Yeah.
it's another separate Sage application that has integrations. One of the nice things is you can, if you buy a new asset, you can enable when you record the invoice for that purchase in AP. If the GL account on that line is a fixed asset account, it enables you to assign a fixed asset template, like laptop, computer, or desk, or something of that nature. And when you update the AP invoice, it will actually create the asset in the fixed asset database. Fixed assets will calculate the depreciation, and then you can leave fixed assets, come back to Sage 100. If I go to period and processing, here's the big time saver with the integration. This Sage 100 can connect to the fixed asset database and basically create all the GL entries. So this would connect to Sage fixed assets, grab the last depreciation run in fixed assets, and create the GL postings for you automatically, instead of having to do that on your own. So it, again, is a separate database with integration points being recording asset purchase. Essentially AP invoice can create the asset in the fixed asset database. And then when you run depreciation in fixed assets, Sage 100 can then go grab the depreciation calculations and create the GL entries associated with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I can talk to Chris about that. I don't, that's kind of done outside of Sage anyway. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Always be added later. CRM and fixed assets, those can be phase 2, phase 3, phase 102. You can always add those later.
Right. Yeah, right. I got it. Yeah. Good to know. Yeah, but surely you can go in there and, what we do now is I give my guy that does our corporate return, he takes certain GLs and we capitalize it at $500. So he does all that stuff kind of outside of Sage, I guess. Yeah. So, surely we can still do that from the normal Sage 100. You can just dump a GL and.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people have their accountant doing that, and the accountant does it, I don't know, in their own tool or another tool or Excel, and then basically calculates what the depreciation would be, and then create a GL entry for it.
Yeah. Thankfully, he's doing all that stuff. All I have to do is give him the report. But yeah, it's good to know it will do that if they want to purchase it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess. I don't want to glancing over this. I don't think I had any more.
Yeah, if we need to have a separate call to review any of the documents that I sent your way, just let me know that.
Okay, will do.
And we can do that.
What's the purchase order processing on here?
The purchase order module was a module that Rob told me that you guys do use, so that's why I added it.
So this would be
Go ahead.
It enables you to issue, again, if I need to purchase something from a vendor, whether it's in-house supplies or so this would be a way that you can create a purchase order issue it to a vendor, and then
order or quote inside of Sage 100. I've got to pay an additional to do that. I mean, we just don't do enough of it, in my opinion. Is that $778 a month?
It's $778 a year.
A year.
Right.
Okay. See, all that stuff's available in the model we have now, and it's
Well, Sage 50, yeah, Sage 50 is a one size fits all, so it comes with everything in it, but it's extremely limited in terms of the way it performs. 100, 100 has all those modules and then more of them. They're just not a one size fits all. You have the ability to pick and choose what you want to buy.
Got it. Don't have to be happy about it, but I got it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest way for me to explain it, because Sage 50 doesn't look at the type of customer that you are and the type of business that you run. It only
when we designed it, it gives you the capability to make it work for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I feel like that's what we've been able to do from a $2 million company to a $20 million company, over the last 15 years.
There's a few things you can do in the global settings in 50, but with 100, I mean, every single module that you purchase has to be configured. So it kind of wraps around the way you do business, and not vice versa, where you have to conform so much to the way Sage 50 comes out of the box.
Got it. All right.
That's generally how most ERPs are. I mean, Microsoft is the same way. Dynamics, which is what you guys do a lot of hosting of.
Yeah, that's the one reason I didn't go to Dynamics Great Plains when we when we became a big host for it, because you had to buy all the modules to make it work.
Yeah.
It's not just buying Great Plains and Dynamics keys. You got to buy this and that and this and that and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Get all of it to work, and
it's a different animal moving to an ERP.
It becomes quite pricey, and
Yeah.
when you don't have a product that'll just do it all for you. You've got to buy all these little add-ins. It's just, no disrespect, that's just frustrating.
I get it.
All righty, well, I appreciate it, y'all's time, and
Yeah, thank you
we'll
both.
have to again run this by our Chris. He's our CEO, CFO.
Okay.
And see where we go with it. How long is this quote good for? 30 days?
We have a price increase coming May the 1st.
May the 1st, 8 days.
Yeah. There's nothing I can do to stop that from happening. That happens once a year. So the price increase is only on the software side. It's not on the statement of work. However, I did have her, throw an incentive in there if you can make a decision and sign off by the end of April.
Okay. End of April then. Okay.
But again, if we have to have a secondary call just to overview any of the finer points in any of those documents, just let me know. I can.
What's our initial outlay? Is that somewhere and I'm not seeing it? Or,
Pardon?
I mean, what's the initial
up front?
outlay?
Yeah, the only thing you pay up front is what's on the software order. The statement of work is billed throughout the project at the end of each month based on the time and materials that are spent on the project. So in that scenario, I mean, there might be quite a few things that you and your team can take over that the consultant does not have to do, in which case then that estimate becomes a lot less that you end up paying for.
Got it. So is that a separate document then than this on-premise subscription order?
Yeah, the statement of work, it'll say statement of work at the top. It's about.
I'm just getting back to your email. Sorry.
Yeah, it's about 7 pages.
I had that one open from earlier this morning.
Okay.
And I was looking over it. I'll find it.
It'll say SOW like in the
Right.
on the PDF. And then on the next to the last page would be the estimate, the budgetary estimate.
All right, super.
And that is not due up front. Again, that's billed over the length of the project.
Okay,
Okay.
super. Awesome.
Very good. Well, I appreciate your time today. Once I get the recording back, I'll send it out to both of you so you have it.
All right, awesome. Thank you so
Sounds
much
good.
for your time.
All right.
Very good. I appreciate it. And I'll just wait to hear from you both. Okay.
All right, we'll
Sounds
see you.
good.
Thanks,
Thank
Rob.
you.
Thanks again.
Bye.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Jeff.